Hey guys, it's been a very long time since we had any update on the delisting issue of Chinese stocks. So I know it's a waiting game. It's very unsatisfying, the situation. The last thing regarding a deadline is that we've heard that the Chinese body, the CSRC, said, the head of this body, Mr. Feng, he said we might have good positive news on this issue within June. Or maybe even before that, but now we are almost at the end of June and there is still no further update or news. The last only actionable news that we had was in April that the CSRC issued a draft rule scrapping the requirement that only Chinese regulators can conduct an on-site audit of mainland companies listed overseas. But since that, we don't have an actual deal between the US and China so far. But today we have a little bit of news, at least going into that direction, and I want to give you the news and my views on that. But please bear in mind, I'm not a lawyer or not a consultant. I cannot give you financial advice as always. This is just my personal view, so you need to do your due diligence. This may be usable information and content for you if you are invested in any Chinese company that is listed in the US or even if it's listed in Hong Kong, because the significance, of course, is that once this issue has been resolved, many institutional funds will be able to go back into Chinese ADRs in which they're currently underweight. For investors in Alibaba or NIO or any company that has already a secondary listing in Hong Kong, of course, this would be nice to have because this would be adding additional buying pressure and fund flows. But it's absolutely crucial for companies like smaller caps that actually don't have a secondary listing. So that's the significance of that. But anyways, now here back to the news. The news is Hong Kong audit regulators are in talks with the Beijing Ministry of Finance about granting access to working papers of mainland Chinese companies. So the issue here is, Hong Kong and mainland China are, of course, two different legislations. And actually, as far as my knowledge, both are not in compliance with this Holding Foreign Company Accountable Act. So even Hong Kong as a jurisdiction is currently not granting access to the PCAOB to actually have a look at the auditors, so those who are keeping the books for the companies being listed. And this news here in particular is actually something more between Hong Kong and mainland China, because this would be about the Financial Reporting Council, or in short, the FRC, which is regulating the auditors of Hong Kong listed companies, that they are now in talk with the Beijing Ministry of Finance to allow that they can actually inspect the Chinese mainland firms. So that might be, well, in a way of that also similar to the PCAOB actually being able to have a look at the books, or the auditors actually, I should say, of those Chinese mainland companies that are listed in Hong Kong. So it's actually a similar situation to what the US-China deal is all about. And basically the article says that there have been 7 cases in the past where this Hong Kong watchdog was actually granted to get those papers of Chinese mainland companies that are listed in Hong Kong and to actually have a look at those books. But now the next step should be that actually those Hong Kong watchdogs have actually the access to all of the companies, even if they are not in an investigation sort of environment. So basically on a, let's say, normalized level, they should be able to access those kind of books. So these inspections would aim at checking if audit firms have sufficient internal controls on audit quality and whether auditors have exercised adequate professional skepticism in audit check on the numbers and the books of their clients. And as I said, this news is more between Hong Kong and mainland China as it appears, but here's speculation also in this article that this may have actually further impact, also going as far as the audit deal between the US and China. So the quote on this article here is that since China does not allow its audit work papers to be taken outside the mainland, one possible solution is for the FRC or FCAOB staff to go to the mainland to do on-site inspections at the mainland accounting firms. So basically, Hong Kong, what they're doing here is demanding the same thing as the US, and it seems like there is some actual talk going on, and it seems that this is coming to a resolution here, at least the article suggesting that, but at the same time saying that the US deal is some sort of a maybe even more complicated issue, and in the nature a similar issue. But as Hong Kong is a bit closer to mainland China, obviously this might be more easy to achieve and might be a way of actually allowing and putting such a solution in place. Whether or not this actually highlights a solution for the entire space, basically also granting the access for the PCAOB via a similar deal that is discussed here. That is not in this article. We cannot know that. We can only guess. And I'm actually having some further reading there that I will actually make it's going to be a longer format because it's a quite complicated matter, but I will make a second video on that for my Patreon. So whoever is really interested in this level of detail can just sign up for the Patreon. By the way, that's also a way to support this channel and have this deeper look into that matter, which is more about some recent development in Chinese policy that is going on. And I think it's quite related to what we're reading here about this Hong Kong matter and possibly also the PCAOB. However, at this point in time, that's the situation as I have mentioned it now here based on this article. It is still a waiting game. Let's hope we'll see an actual news on that in both matters, Hong Kong as well as the US here. Maybe still within this month, although the time period is getting short here. Maybe it's happening in July. Hopefully it happens in July latest. And then this should be good news, because then this would be green light for funds flowing in for the big institutions to commit some money and actually fuel this rally that's currently happening in Chinese stocks, which are outperforming on general. So thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one.